to focus on my passion, that I will go for public health. That is going to be my ultimate career. So this degree is actually my base for my future career. So I should invest all my potential, it is all my time.
Hello everyone. For those new to my channel, I'm Syam Shoaib Noor, a rising senior Bangladeshi studying applied math at Harvard. As you might have known, this playlist is a playlist where I talk about how you can get into top universities. The videos are on informational videos such as SATs, essays. The videos are there for undergrad, so getting into top universities across different countries like UK, Australia, US, Harvard, Princeton, and whatnot. And the videos are also for postgrad, so masters in top universities as well. If you want more of these videos, you know what to do. Subscribe to this channel right now. Smash that thumbs up button. This will help us beat the YouTube algorithm, and the playlist will hopefully reach more people. Today I have an amazing guest with me. His name is Dr. Tasdik Hasan, and he's a researcher working on mental health of vulnerable population in Lusaka, Zambia, as a project director of the Department of Mental Health, Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. He's an amazing person. He saw my playlist and he reached out to me because today's interview will be on getting a full funded master's to study in the United Kingdom. Yes, I got a lot of questions about how do you get to study in the UK with a full funded scholarship, especially for masters. And today's interview is just for that. So I'm glad to have him on the show. So Tasdik bhai, we'll be talking about 5 things. Number 1, standardized exams. Number 2, your academic results and kind of academic background before your master's. 3, your work experience before your master's. 4, on a high level, what did you talk about in your SOP? And 5, who did you take your reference letters from, and like any advice you have on that. So let's start with number 1, standardized exams. Which exams did you give for these scholarships, and what were your scores, if you're comfortable sharing?
Yes, I had to appear for the IELTS exam because it was an essential criteria, like you need to fill it up. And I got 7.5 in IELTS. At that time, like, it's a very interesting thing because my university, my course was a joint program between King's College London and London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. So the admission was directed via the King's College London. And King's College London, they usually have requirements for 7, but for this specific course that year, the requirement was 7.5. So I just have got 7.5. If I had 7, maybe they would have discarded, or they have just like, rejected my profile. So the IELTS exam, I think the tip from my side, I'm not from, English medium background, but my medical education, it was in English, but about like Bangladeshi curriculum, like we are allowed to talk in Bangla in most of our vivas, like not the board exams, but in our daily classrooms, like we are not used to talk in English with our classmates and teachers. But yes.
You went to Sohrawardy Medical College, right?
Yes, Sohrawardy.
So for those watching, you would already know that it is one of the most difficult medical colleges to get into. So it can clearly show that Tasdik bhai probably had a very good academic background, because as far as I know, during my year of medical application, 90,000 students applied, and around the top like 400 or 500 have the eligibility to go to Sohrawardy Medical. So that is the huge achievement in itself. So he clearly comes from not your traditional, very English-based background. So I'm sure his IELTS advice will be relatable for a lot of students out there. Bhai, please feel free to continue.
Okay, so my tip, like I haven't, I haven't took any advice from any IELTS counselor, whatever, the training courses, or like there are some courses available. What I did, I used YouTube. I think YouTube. They have she's a wonderful YouTube instructor for IELTS. So I have watched all her videos at the time, like in 2016. I have appeared in IELTS.
Can you repeat the name of the YouTube channel again?
Liz, Liz, Liz
Okay.
IELTS. So it's an excellent, I think we can tag that, like give that link so people can easily access to that. For Bangla medium students, like Bengali with non-English background students, I think it's a very good platform, because it gave us the idea like how we can increase our skills in reading, writing. Reading was a bit easier for me because being medical, students, I always had to read a lot of stuff. So it was my kind of like easy for it to read and find out stuff from that. Writing was a bit tricky because we are not used to in academic writing the way IELTS is looking for. So I'll focus, like I'll definitely stress for the listeners to give special attention for a writing part of the IELTS, those who are not from English medium background. So my tip for writing was like I read a couple of scientific papers at that time, which are from British, origin or Britain endorsed papers, and those helped me a lot to understand like how they write and how they present a scientific argument. And for speaking, I was a radio jockey, by the way, for 1 year at Radio Today. So I know I can speak fluent in Bangla, but my English, I always had the fear like, oh, maybe my people are not getting my English is not good, my vocabulary is not good. So I interestingly never worked on that. What I did, like I never feared. Like when I talk, I just continue talking. If the grammar is not okay, it's okay. If people are getting my point, if they're understanding, that was my concern. Like if a foreigner or if my friend or whatever, if they're understanding my point and responding appropriately the way I want to respond, I want response from them, that was okay. And I never cared for what people are thinking. Like even in a global platform, maybe some people have that fear, like I'm presenting something, I need to practice a lot so that all my words are fancy, all my languages are artistic. No, I focused on easy line, easy statements, easy wording, so that I'm comfortable. And maybe that helped me a lot in speaking. And subsequently when I've been to UK or now I'm working for the US and in a different country with an absolutely different environment where I do not need to talk. I never, now I do not need to think about talking in front of anyone because I know people are, listening or they are getting my point. So that no fear strategy helped me. And for, I think, listening, the main thing is Liz have some specific, tips like while listening, we need to be very, very attentive for the second part, because when the conversation starts, then it becomes very tricky to understand how they are having the conversation. Some people suggested me to watch some English movies because I'm not a big fan of watching, English movies. So I'm getting very candid today, and I'm seeing the reality, because not all people will be comfortable in watching English movies every day, or, seasons or dramas or whatever. So at that point, what I did, like I watched a couple of BBC, I think, documentaries just to see how British accent is, because I do not have a clear idea differentiation between British and American accent. So I wanted to know like how it differs. And being a radio jockey or being a debater, I talk a lot. So it's very difficult for me to keep somewhere, calm, quiet, and listening to others. I had to work on that. Like listening was the toughest job for me, because I know, oh yeah, I have to talk while they're talking. So that was my like strategy, like, oh, I should listen to a documentary for the full time and keeping notes out of it, so that I know this is the way the IELTS thing is going to happen. So, and interestingly, like the score 7.5 was pretty good, and I never had to give like, second IELTS, because after the course, when I applied for the job visa, that's a different issue, but they always consider like if I have a recent degree, so I never had to apply for the IELTS, so I'm done with that part. The second question you asked me about my academic background, my schooling, everything started from Joshore, which is a very small town in Bangladesh. I did my schooling from BF Shahin College. I completed SSC and HS in 2003 and 2005, and I received GPA 5 that time. And then I jumped to Shahid Sohrawardi Medical College. Yes, it's one of the biggest and one of the reputed medical college in the country. Interestingly, my schooling and everything, my result was outstanding in a sense. Like GPA 5 was not a very usual thing. Only 18, I think, students received GPA 5 in my SSC because we are the third batch. There was no fourth subject, no additional benefit we had. So then Sohrawardi Medical College, it was a very, very good experience for me, but my result was not that satisfactory. It's very encouraging, I think, for fellow students to know that it's possible. If you do not have the desired CGPA, if you still have chance to prove yourself, you still have opportunities to develop your career in such a way that that CGPA you can just cover up with your additional academic involvement and additional professional entities. So what I did, I had a supplementary exam in surgery. So I knew that if I want to present this supplementary in front of any scholarship, agency, either Commonwealth or OSCE or whatever, they will have a big concern, because supplementary is always, not a good thing to present. But just after my MBBS, I was enrolled to a master's in American International University for public health. So I did my MPH and I received the Chancellor's Gold Medal, the best student award from the whole university, and also the Summa Cum Laude, the 4 out of 4 CGPA, and also the Vice Chancellor's Gold Medal for the best thesis of the year. So the whole, graduation ceremony, it was all about me, and I received all the gold medals in that. It created a huge impact on my academic potential as well, because like my schooling was so outstanding and happening in case of academic accomplishment, and MBBS was a very good experience, but somehow the result, it can happen to anyone, somehow was not connected to the the regular system, and I was not feeling that much confident. Somehow it was covered up. And then I did another diploma from University of Dhaka. It's from ITMVS, Institute of Disaster Management and Vulnerability Studies. And I got, again, the highest CGPA, 3.9 out of 4. So, and also, the thesis was very good. I received some award for that as well. So it happened like my last 2 degrees were so academically enriched in a way, like the result and overall outcome, that I do not need to care about the previous CGPA. So my suggestion to fellow students, if someone have any, backlog or any lower CGPA, one strategy can be going for an, prompt degree, but prompt in a sense like, that this master's will take 1 year. So I knew that the MPH, it can be completed in 1 year. I just need to spend 1 year in that course, and I have that belief that I can do well and I can get a good CGPA. So I tried to focus on my passion, that I will go for public health. That is going to be my ultimate career. So this degree is actually my base for my future career. So I should invest all my potentialities, all my time and everything. I can remember one incident, like at that time, I had a relationship with someone who is my wife at the moment. So I told her, like, this 1 year, do not consider that we are a couple. Just consider me as, a senior of your medical, because I do not have the time to give you. I was so consumed by the masters because I have the urge, like I need to prove my lost potentialities that academically I can achieve. I have seen a couple of students, like with CGPA, like lower CGPA, they have been to a course which is not directly academic, something, a professional course, and did outstanding work, which is like with evidence that worked. For some people, like they have joined an office, like research or academic office or some whatever. It can be a teaching profession, it can be a research work. They did something which worked. And when I say evidence is not like you are publishing something in the newspaper. You are publishing in a like predatory journal. Evidence is like you need to publish something in a scientific journal, peer-reviewed index journal, so that you can show it to the scholarship, agencies. So one of the interesting thing about my academic plan was I never thought about any random, opportunity. I prepared myself for a specific course for the most prominent university. So it was a kind of a planned attempt to apply for 3 scholarships at the same time, because I researched that if I want to do something in global, providing the most authentic education and global mental health, it was like only provided by 4 universities in the whole world still now, like King's College London, London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. There was another course at University of Cape Town, I think, and another one is University of Glasgow. So I applied to University of Glasgow in Commonwealth Shared, and I applied to King's College London and London School of Hygiene, which is a combined degree in Commonwealth, the main Commonwealth scholarship and also the Chevening one. So my intention was like, I need to pick like one scholarship I should achieve so that I can avail the course I really want to pursue. So the strategy can be different. One person can think about the scholarship first and then the course, but my suggestion will be like, if you are sure that which course you want to get in, that will give you more strength to fight for the scholarship, because they will ask you in the interview, like, why this course, or why you want to pursue your next academic degree in this subject. So that will give you more strength to present your argument in front of the scholarship agencies. So what I did, my master's thesis was on mental health of medical students. In the meantime, I joined ICDW, like just after my MBBS, I joined International Center for Diarrheal Disease Research, which is, ICDW is a very popular, it is the research hub of Bangladesh, where I joined and worked for 7 years. And ICDRB gave me the research background, but unfortunately or fortunately, I was not getting any opportunity to do research on mental health. But it was in my mind, like I should go for mental health because I'm passionate. And ICDRB, there are some scientists who are working, but it's not yet, main focus of ICDRB research. So I worked in different other areas like cholera research. I worked for maternal child health. I worked for health system research. But my master's thesis, what I did, mental health of medical students. So that was one plus point of my argument in front of the the scholarship agencies and to the university where I was applying. Then the disaster diploma. I did another research on mental health of coastal population. So another argument to present in front of them. In the meantime, I attended a couple of research, courses in countries outside the country, in different parts. I attended several, conferences in Berlin, in Belgium, in Amsterdam. So all these things were added to my profile. As you are asking about the profile, like I'm a researcher, I'm working on health systems or other stuff, but my passion is mental health. So I'm doing some work on voluntary basis or academically on mental health. So, the build-up of my case to the scholarship agencies was pretty much clear. Like when I was going to them, I do not need to say like, oh, see, I'm passionate, but I did nothing. I can say like, I'm passionate. I never got an opportunity formally. I never had any funding, but I did these works and these works are published, or these works have several accomplishment or acknowledgement from international organizations that I can tell you confidently that I will work for mental health and I'll devote my career for mental health. So that is how I presented my case to the scholarship agencies. So I'll tell a little bit about my career in the time, because just after MBBS, I joined ICDW, as I said before, and I spent 7 years, and that was an excellent time, to learn research. So from 2013 to 2017 when I left, and in between, when the scholarship thing happened, that was a major plus point for Chevening. They look for 2 years relevant work experience. So my case was I have relevant research experience for more than 5 years in ICDRB. And then, when I was applying for shared Commonwealth or Commonwealth, both of the cases, that was pretty clear, I have relevant work experience. For the case I was building, mental health, yes, I have passion. I did work. I never get a direct opportunity to contribute, but I never stopped. Continuously, I tried to explore this from different, unconventional sources, and I did some research work with good researchers from the country, but not necessarily that are coming from the traditional work. I use the word ICDRB was my survival job. because I was learning research. I need money to survive myself and my family. Like my salary is also important. So I contributed, I learned, I achieved a lot from my CDW, but I was preparing myself for something else. So that was my passion, and I proved it in front of the scholarship portals. And the Chevening thing is all about leadership. So in the meantime, I had a couple of affiliations. So this is very important to know for the students, those who are listening, because they always, they are in the dilemma. Like, where should I invest my time on voluntary basis? Like, the student organizations, these are vitally important. And I don't think like any investment during the studentship is unnecessary. Every single thing you can present to prove yourself as a competent leader, or your passion, or your motivation to change the society. Like, you never stopped, you always have worked to bring the change you want to see. So these voluntary works should be with a purpose. If any of the student, like they are engaged in some work like blood donation, very good, at the same time doing some work in like maternal health. Some students are working on something like garment worker. This will not work. You need to have a specific focus, like I am contributing in a similar field so that I can present my case. Your voluntary works should be aligned to your passion, to your future career goal, your future academic course, so that you can build your case. When you will write your SOP, that will create an extra value. So my point is, do your voluntary work, continue your work, but specify a specific zone, 1 or 2, not more than that. You do not need to be the CEO of that voluntary organization or the leader. You can contribute as a team member, but do your part efficiently, so that in time of need, they can endorse you. They can give you a letter of reference if needed. Or at the same time, I will suggest everyone to document their work. If the organization have any website, it's not necessarily that you should always focus on yourself. Oh, I'm the leader, I'm the hero. No, write it down. You can publish as a blog. You can publish, in any other, institutional blog or international blog. That will help you. You can write in the scholarship, like I did this voluntary work, I published this blog in another voluntary institute's international profile. You can find it here. That's easier to judge, or it's easier to present themselves. Like they do not need to look for, they just need to click and they will see like, oh, this is the guy we are evaluating at the moment. So evidence is also very important. If you cannot do anything, just write a newspaper, like an opinion piece, and if it is in English, that will be better in a sense. Like the English newspaper, they can read it. Like when international agencies will check, they can just read, and do not mention like, oh, I have a scientific publication, and then you are giving a link of an like the college annual function program booklet. It's not scientific publication. So you need to know the term, what is a scientific publication and what is not. So you need to be very clear, like what you are doing, and you need to prepare yourself step by step so that you can build your case efficiently, and you can present yourself with logic, that if you are the evaluator, why you are going to take yourself. You need to keep yourself in that position. Like, I am the evaluator, why I will choose myself for that position, who is going to contribute. Then I think you mentioned about academic profile result. I already have talked about it, like always good result carries extra value. But if you do not have, a 4 out of 4 or something like that, you can always cover it up with, do not say any, wrong information or any misinformation that will be instantly caught up. Do not never do that. Just try to build an alternative staff which is equally appreciable, and you can build your case efficiently. Another thing I think I can mention here is I don't know like if it is relevant, but every single thing you are presenting, it should be real. It should be honest. You should be honest in presenting everything. If you haven't done anything in real, do not present that, because it's not going to work in any case. And copying a stuff like plagiarism, they will instantly, it can be caught. So never copy any SOP, never copy any leadership experience, or you can think like, oh, this senior received a evening, so I should copy. No, yeah, it will be instantly, it will be just throw away from the listing those very evaluating. So you should be very innovative. Another tip I think here I can give you whenever presenting yourself to scholarship bodies or wherever, if you are writing something and you know that I do not belong to English medium background, but you want just build a team, and you can share it with English medium, those who have a background or a native speaker who can check it, who can give you feedback, and definitely that should be based on trust. That should be based on friendship, so that they can encourage you and give proper feedback to build your application authentic. We always had a team, Siam, like me, some of my colleagues from ICDDRB and my universities, and all of them. It's very interesting that all of them and all of us actually received international scholarship one after another, and we like Shivani, one of my closest colleagues, she received that the next year. I joined this course, and for the same course actually, then Commonwealth, every year my colleagues are receiving. So it's amazing to see, like, we are supporting each other, we are constantly giving us feedback, like trying to make it more innovative, and we are getting results. There is no competition in this whole world. Like, you can have competition with yourself only. This toxic competition will keep you distant from everyone. Trust me, help your friend, seek help from your friend, help, without intention of judging, like, oh, I'm the hero, something. Do not do that. Just help with an intention that it's a friendship and we all want to prosper together. That will be enough.
Thank you so much. I think that covers a lot of things. You went over your academic results, you went over your work experience, you went over this great advice of building community. Like, even when I was doing my undergrad application to like Harvard, Princeton, and just like the Ivy Leagues in general, I also had friends who I shared the journey with, who helped me revise my essays and whatnot. So that is extremely important. The only people you should be competing with is yourself, and try to improve every day. But apart from that, this mindset of, oh, if I help that person will get the scholarship, not me, it is rather toxic, because at the end of the day, if you help each other, chances are both of you will get the scholarship, or both of you will get different scholarships, and it will be a net positive outcome for both of you. So that is great advice. The last thing I would like you to talk about is, you mentioned when applying to like 3 scholarships and universities, you need so many reference letters. Where did you get your reference letters from, and who did you ask? And that will be the final question of the interview.
Thank you very much, Siam. I think I missed talk about SOPs. I just said some relevant thing. I can talk a little bit about SOP that I mentioned about do not copy. The second thing is you should be innovative to present your work. What I did, I think my tip, like what I did, like I just presented one of my experience from the conference, one conference I attended. Like I can tell to the listeners, because that will help them to understand like what I did. I attended the World Health Summit in 2016 in Berlin. So after one session, like one NASA scientist was talking about Mars, like we'll go to Mars and we'll do this stuff and other stuff, health in the space. They talked about space health. So I randomly like stood up and I said, like, when the question answer session was happening, like, I'm very happy to hear about this Mars adventure and whatever, but I really want to know the health inequalities is having throughout the world. Like, we are still dying from diarrhea, we are still dying from hunger and whatever, and the amount of money is investing, they are investing in Mars expenditure, like I'm not against the space health technology and other stuff, but we need to think about the overall health inequalities between the 2 parts of the globe. And when I talked about it, like from my country perspective, some of the audience, they stood they talked to me just after, like, you said the right thing, because it was in my mind too, and I was thinking like, okay, why they need to spend so much money, because the amount is so big. And I suddenly thought, okay, you can spend, but that should be a rational expenditure. You cannot irrationally expend on something which is not taking any visible benefit for the globe. So then the scientists explained to me, Lisa, I understand your point and other stuff. After the session, many big shots, like, they came to me, they talked about, oh, are you from Bangladesh? That boy who talked to that NASA session and you said this, the stuff. I explained the whole story to the SOP. I said, like, I did this. And then I realized that my linguistic barrier, my low income country setting background, or my overall background from Bangladesh, it's not actually a barrier if I want to raise my voice in front of those high profile, because only matters is my voice, like what I'm saying, my content of the talk, and that content, if it is relevant, people are definitely going to appreciate myself. And then I realized, like, leadership is something like, we should not fear of anything. Just we need to be content enough and confident enough to express our views and opinions in front of, like, whatever, like whoever is present, just to be logical in front of them. And then I started the logic and then said, like, this is how I developed myself, like with a small city background. I've been to, like, many countries in the world. I had a conversation with Nobel laureates, and I do not belong to a very rich background, but even if this is amazing to think, like, from us, from such a background, like exploring my potentialities every day. And I do believe that everyone can have that. It's not a barrier for anyone to be, poor. It's not a barrier for anyone to have some linguistic barrier, whatever. So that was my selling point for the SOP. Like, I explored my leadership capabilities. I invested my time to develop my skills. I invested my time to prepare myself for the ultimate presentation of my skills in front of the globe, and I never feared of talking in front of anyone. So that when I started, like, writing these SOPs, and I talked with my fellow colleagues, I said, yeah, it's a great start. And the way you have developed and argued why mental health, why you want to build a career in Bangladesh and global career. So the whole thing came to a format, a shape, and then I presented. One major point here, when in Commonwealth, or in Chevening, in both scholarships, they have a specific portion for country, like what you want to do for your country. You always have the same answer. I want to change my country. I will do this. So that, no, you can't change the whole country. You can change yourself. You can change a specific trait in your specific work environment, which will contribute to change the country. So we should be very logical. Like, I'm working in this project. If I have this specific course, and then when I'll return to my country, I will change a different, like, I'll change a specific trait of the project, which will help people. And eventually I can expect a change in the policy of country. We start from changing the policy. You start from changing the whole country. This unrealistic presentation of argument will never work. So you need to be very clear that I need to present. If it is small, the fear of presenting themselves like, oh, I belong to a small city. I'm working in a, you'll say, oh, I'm not working in the ICDDA, so people are not going to evaluate my later. No, it's not like that. Wherever you are working, just be realistic and say, like, I want to change it like this with my academic, and research on that academic field, like what they're offering, so that you can correlate. If you're saying something which is not their concern, it's not going to work. So you need to research on the course, you need to search on the scholarship, and you need to know, like, what their priorities are. Every year they have their own priorities specific. You can see, like, recently they are talking about inclusion. They're talking about diversity. So if you use those specific words, like, we want to create an inclusive environment by this, that is the background that will help you more. Okay, so now references. So references, I think that is one of the major concern for our students, especially from low-income country. First problem is our teachers or faculties or supervisors. In most cases, they do not have institutional emails. So that is a major concern, I think, because many universities or scholarships, they specifically mention that we need an email which should come from an institute, like at I suppose AIOP.edu or at Harvard.edu or something like that. You cannot use at Yahoo or Gmail or something like that. In my country, it's not always possible. Like all my professors, they do not have that. talk to the university first. Just email them. Like, listen, my professor do not have institutional email, but you can check her or his profile in ResearchGate. Like, he has published a couple of papers with this email. So it's an authentic email. You can argue. You always are open, like you are open to tell them like this is your limitation and if you can proceed with that limitation. In some universities, I heard like when I suggested to my juniors or fellow colleagues, they accepted. They said, yeah, it's possible, like send to us and we'll consider that as a special consideration, because they will check, they will verify, like if the reference is coming from the real ID. So Yahoo and Gmail, so you need to email them and check if it is possible. If not, then you need to look for alternative. And then another major problem for reference is like we always have a template. Oh, he's a very good guy, energetic, enthusiastic, academic, that's it. No, go with specific examples like what you did. Our professors, in most cases, they do not have time to write the whole scenario. They cannot remember because they are dealing with so many students every year. So you can draft something, just points. It can be point, it can be narrative, but with evidences. Discuss with your professor, talk to them, take their appointment, go to them, like visit them with a time, like they should not be in a hurry or rush, like I need to go, and you should not have that time restrictions. Just sit with them, discuss like, okay, this is how you should construct it, or I can help you. It works in many countries. So you can send them a draft and then they can edit it as they want. Remember, in most scholarship portals like Commonwealth, they will not accept hard copy references. You cannot attach. They will send the reference link to the professor. So professor needs to fill it up on behalf of you, or from the institutional email. So you need to remember that you cannot take an institutional, and sometimes they say like that personalized reference should come from an institutional letterhead page. So many challenges are there. They will specifically mention, and you need to read it very carefully. Like if your professor can write it, or he should transfer the narrative to a letterhead and then paste it and then add the digital signature and send to the scholarship portal or the university. So you need to you need to understand, and then you need to discuss with your professor, like if they can support you. For my case, like I'm very lucky to get like a couple of professors from my master's course and my graduation. Like master's school, they definitely had institution email, and ICDDF is an excellent place. Like my supervisor was always open. Though I do not need to take reference from my ICDDF supervisor, he was agreed, but they were looking for like 2 references, and I chose to give academic references, one from my medical college, one from my university. They were so good in, like, they said, how many references do you need? Like 4, 8, it doesn't matter. Just let us know. And what I did, like I checked the timeline. Siam, the very most important thing is like we need to track everything. For Commonwealth, as you need to apply for universities, Commonwealth University Grants Commission, if you can use an Excel file, to track the deadline, all the deadlines for reference, deadline for application submission, there are so many deadlines. So you need to track it. You can go to your professor on periodic basis, like 7 days or 10 days. At one point, maybe they will say, just submit it, like, let's do it today, like 2 of the references we can submit. I know sometimes it's tough, but you need to invest your time to make themselves comfortable so that they can provide you the references in time. You need to definitely send the references in time. And another thing, what I was saying, like evidence-based reference, your passion should be evidence-based, your reference should be evidence-based. Maybe you are not among the top 5% student. You do not need to mention that. We always have the wrong perception, like reference should be like, oh, he was the top student and your result is showing supplementary or to fail. So is it relevant? It's not. So you should focus like the specific traits or your interaction with the professor. So your professor can say like, oh, he was not among the top students, but he has such an excellent capability of public speaking that it keeps him stand out, or, like I'm a fan of his hosting or whatever. Like it can be a different approach of writing reference, or what you can do, like you can have some specific class assignment. He can talk about it, or he can explain. So that can be also an argument for him to present you in front of because they read it. I had a previous, assumption, like maybe they just take the references for just, formality. They do not read it. When I started my job with University of Liverpool, so I was a research assistant, so it's an academic job, so I need to be there in the academic setting. I've seen like they have big projectors in the scholarship like selection board, and I've talked to them. They are actually reading every single word that is written in the reference in the SOP in the projector, and they're marking in the team. So they read it. They read, they talk, they decide, and they have a specific evaluation system. So do not write too much. Do not write too little. Be with a very precise amount of meat so that they can consume. And another tip from my side would be do not use same template for all the references. Read the scholarship criteria, because the university admission will look for how compatible you are for the university and the course. The scholarship portal will look for how compatible you are for the scholarship. The difference is the scholarship always look for returning you, because they have a condition like after Commonwealth you need to return to Bangladesh or whatever country you're coming from. So your reference should reflect that way. Like my student, he's so capable, and like after this degree, I really believe that he will be back and do this. And for the admission, maybe he can say in a different way, like I do believe this course will give him this specific expertise to succeed in the field and contribute to science or whatever course they are applying for. So these are my simple tips. And another last tip is, do not always look for the the professors. They are even if you can take a reference from a lecturer, you can take a very young professor. That is okay. If you are connected to him, if you had your course or close collaboration for research or anything, you can go for it. Because it doesn't matter. Like if it is a full professor, it's okay. We always wait like, oh, I need to take it from the most prominent professor of the university. No, it doesn't matter at all. It doesn't create any extra value. The value is about your interaction and your intimacy. The word should not be intimacy. It should be like, your relationship with the professor, like how he knows you well and how he is endorsing you for that scholarship or the university admission process. So you can have a lecturer to talk on behalf of you, and they are more easier, to approach and get scholarship like a couple of times.
Thank you so much. That was very detailed. We got a lot of tips. This information that you provided has been so helpful and descriptive. Thank you so much for your time. I know you had like a seminar and workshop before this. You'll have one after this. For those watching, if you have questions about any other country, I recently made a video about Australia. I'm constantly making videos on the US, and now this one is about UK. If you have questions about any other topics or any other countries, or if you want to see someone from particular university, let me know in the comment section below. I will make a video based on the most popular comments. And at the same time, if you want to keep updated, I release videos on university admissions every 2 to 3 days. If you want to keep updated, smash the thumbs up button and subscribe to this channel right now, because otherwise you won't get the notifications of when I publish a video. If you ever see Dr. Tasdik Hasan Bhai anytime, feel free to thank him for his time. I provided the link to his Facebook profile and his website in the description below. You can check him out to see his educational background, his publications and whatnot. But thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much, Tasdik Bhai, once again.